Right, guys, so welcome back to another episode of Experiences with Experity. Episode 3, guys. How have we gotten to episode 3 already? This one actually comes from one of you guys. So I'm going to read out the story, and then the girls and I are going to give our thoughts, feelings, and all of that lovely stuff on this one. So it comes in from someone who went over to a brunch in East London, and the story reads. So a few weeks ago, my partner and I went to this trendy little cafe in East London, one of those Instagrammable places, house plants, you know the type. We booked ahead for a late Sunday brunch and we were really looking forward to it. It had been a really long time since we'd spent some time together out and about. From the moment we walked in, the vibe was off. Uh-oh. There was no greeting at the door, just a waiter who gave us a once over and muttered, "You booked?" Like we just wandered in. We said yes, gave our name, our reservation name, and he just nodded and walked off. No, follow me. Give give us a second. All right, this way. We stood there awkwardly until someone else eventually pointed us to a table, but it wasn't the one like we requested for by the window. So we just ended up sitting at a random table for four. Anyway, we sat down and waited and waited. It was about 15 minutes before the waiter finally came over and not even with a sorry for the wait or a smile, he just stood there looking like we were holding him up. No notepad, no introduction, I'll be your server today, nothing. Just, you ready? I asked if the sourdough with smashed avocado, yum, sorry, came with poached eggs, and he just blinked at me and went, yeah, it's written on the menu. Deadpan, no offer to help, no explanation. My partner with some dietary requirements asked about the veggie filling dish, whether the sausage was actually vegan and what it was made with. And he said, I don't know, I think so, and then wandered off before he could even clarify. When the food finally came, toast was cold and just slid the plates on the table and walked off mid-sentence while I was trying to ask for some cleaner cutlery because the ones on the table were dirty. And over the meal, no check-ins, no refills, no offers, nothing. We weren't demanding, we weren't rude, but I think there's a basic level of courtesy when you're paying £18 for toast and a poached egg. Agreed. We left feeling totally unwelcome, like we'd gatecrashed someone's private kitchen. It's the first time I've ever left a cafe feeling genuinely annoyed. Safe to say I won't be back. Anyway, just thought I'd share it because I've heard a lot of other people who have had bad experiences at this cafe now after discussing with my friends. Just sounds like a waiter who clearly hates brunch culture and sounds like he's working at the wrong place. So, disaster at brunch, girls. What are our thoughts? Abby, you want to go first?
I think there's so much wrong with that. Uh, and the thing that hit me at the end was she said, or they said, after I've spoken with my friends, we agreed, like other people have had really bad experiences, which just reiterates like it's spread. She's talking about their bad experience. Their friends are talking about the bad experience. It's not good. Um, I I think fundamentally there are so many things wrong with that, as basic as, you know, even just saying hello, introducing themselves or apologizing for a wait. These are like 1% things again that don't cost any money, don't cost any additional time, but were just done completely wrong. And for me, that sounds like it isn't a training issue. It sounds like it's a behavioral issue from that particular
Yeah.
server. And you're absolutely right. Like that person should not be working at that cafe or probably in hospitality at all. Like if you've got that approach to dealing with customers, hospitality is not the one for you,
It's
hun.
not for
Like
you. Yeah,
let's let's
exactly.
re let's reconsider your career pathway. That's what I would say. And I think also, not that I am somebody with dietary requirements, but we have people in our family that are,
Hmm.
you always feel like a little bit of an inconvenience when you're asking, oh, is it vegan? Is it gluten-free? Is it this? Is it that? You're already kind of on the back foot feeling as though I don't want to cause a scene. I don't want to make things difficult.
Yeah.
So to then be going out of your way to ask those questions, you're already feeling on the back foot. To then be met with hostility and like not a very warm environment, that's just, yeah, it's not good really.
No, not good. It's so interesting. Sorry, I was just going to touch on one thing there before I ask Melissa her thoughts. Um, Everyone goes to a Sunday brunch for their vibe, don't they? Let's be honest. You go because you don't want to cook. You know you can cook poached eggs on toast at home. You know, everyone knows, or like a fried egg on toast or something, you know, everyone knows that you can do that. But the reason that most people book to go to said brunch out and about at a nice cafe is so that they can have that experience. I don't know about you guys, but
Yeah.
I do that. If Samira and I, if my husband and I, we really want to go out and about and just take a chill day. So you're going there for that specific reason, and then it gets ruined. Your
Yeah.
day just completely, you're just off from that moment, aren't you? So, yeah, Melissa,
Especially the fact they
what
booked
are
in
your thoughts?
advance. Like, so
Yeah,
this is obviously somewhere they've been wanting to go or have got round to go into and have booked in advance, I would assume.
yeah,
Like, that's just crazy. I think, Abby, I'd agree with what you said about it being a behavioural issue, but I would also question, like, if the friends have said that it's happened to them in the past and it's a recurring problem, is it A, the same person that's causing the problems? Because I'd almost, I don't know, I've worked in hospitality before. We all have bad days, and in my mind, I was a bit
mm,
like, well, maybe they were having a bad day. Not that that excuses that kind of behaviour, but if it's happened again and again, then I think, yeah, like either that is kind of a cultural issue within the company and they're not supporting their employees enough, or they're giving them too many hours, or yeah, or maybe this person just shouldn't be in hospitality. But I
with a
think,
flaw in the recruitment process potentially is maybe
yeah,
what you're
but
suggesting.
I think you're completely right, Abby, about that 1%. Like, as I said, I used to work in hospitality. So for us, the first thing that we trained anyone was eye contact is key. If you're in the middle of
Mm,
doing something and you're really busy, and let's be honest, these kind of places can get really busy, it's important to just acknowledge that person, even if it's just, I'll be with you in a moment. Like,
yeah,
you're in the middle of something, you're running drinks across, like, I'll be with you in a moment. And that takes 2 seconds. I think for me, the biggest thing that comes out of this is communication was the biggest thing that was lacking. The not come and follow me, or I'll be with you in a moment, or like just walking away mid conversation when they asked about the like vegan slash vegetarian question. Like, that communication was the biggest thing that was broken down here. And it can feel so frustrated as someone that's going in, because I think you don't feel listened to then.
mm,
Mm.
Um,
which is not what you're
yeah,
paying for, especially when it's £18 for eggs and toast. I
yeah,
also was just going to touch on, I also was just going to touch on the fact that, when you're at a meal and a server or a waitress or waiter comes over and asks, is everything okay? That's your opportunity to say if everything is or isn't okay, right? You don't always want to be that person that's like, oh, sorry, can I just ask, can I? And that's usually sometimes your chance to go, it's not actually, and that's their chance to rectify it. That is their opportunity
Mm.
to rectify it. I remember Abby and I were out for a meal in Northampton once after one of our meetings for lunch, and the server came over, I would say maybe one too many times, but at least she came over and asked us if we were okay.
Mm.
And that makes such a difference to your meal, because it's that thing. You don't want to inconvenience people. You don't, but you're paying for your meal. So, like, where do you draw that line? Where's that
yeah,
boundary?
yeah. But I
Yeah.
think flipping it to the business side as well, like you say, Shiv, there's processes that could be put in place to
Mm,
streamline it. Like, I think a really great thing that I've seen in the past is a really clear process, which is actually in Nando's. So
oh,
I only
yes.
found out recently that the little sticks that they
A
put
little
on your
check-in.
table when they give you the
Hmm.
food is to remind the staff to come back for a check-in, because sometimes they get so busy, it reminds them whether a check-in has been done or not during the course of the food. So as soon as they've checked in, the staff then take that, I think it's a chicken on a stick,
It is a
away from the
chicken on a stick.
table. You can tell I haven't been to Nando's that much. But it's like, that's a great way then to just uniform that training.
It really
It's not on
is.
an individual skill set, it's on actually, this is something we're doing and this is a process that we're doing. I think that's such a simple thing that could be put in place to rectify some of that.
It's a really good
Yeah.
point.
And I think following on from what you said there, this really comes down to who's running this cafe. Like, how are you not aware that this person is behaving this way with your customers? Particularly, you said in East London, like London is a hive of vibe cafes. You've got competitors inches away from you, and it's such a big influenced community that your business will either thrive or flop based on how many people have posted a picture of them with their brunch cocktail, on a Sunday morning and tagged you in it. The influence that cafes in London have is major. People travel from all over the country to go to a brunch spot in London because their favourite influencer or somebody they follow online has put it up and really recommended it. The business reputation is so huge. The competition is so fierce for this type of business in London, and you're attracting a type of target customer who is very vocal online about their experiences and has influence beyond anything that we ever had probably 20 years ago. You might go and tell your friends if you caught up with them, but you wouldn't go online on social media and talk about it. But the prime target audience for this business would do that. They want to come so they can put a picture up and tag their mates in a story, but they're also then going to come on and complain about it. And I think there's so much of that is out of your control as a business. That means that the bits that are in your control, your process, the attitude, the culture, the behavior of your staff, the training, the quality of the service and the food and drink, and the overall experience is stuff that you can control. And you need to be hot on that, because one bad viral post, comment, mention about it could have such detrimental impact on whether that business survives or fails. Training needs to be way more consistent and probably a bit more often, and that manager needs to have picked up on the fact that this server is not up to standard and they need to be replacing it, otherwise there's going to be detrimental consequences.
Definitely. And I think sorry, Shiv.
No, yeah.
I think it goes back to something that we've spoken about quite a few times, which is there are so many data points within your business as a manager that can tell you what's happening on the ground floor. We get it. You're busy. Like, there's so many different moving parts, especially in hospitality. It's quite often hard to be on the floor all the time and seeing what your staff are doing. Also, quite often when you are on the floor, they're acting differently to when you're not there anyway. But it's about finding that data. And one of the best ways that you can do that is through reviews, whether that's on things like Trustpilot or on Instagram or whatever social platform you're using. Looking at those reviews and pinpointing that, if you're regularly analysing them, you're going to be able to identify problems before they get to a point of out of your control. And I think using that data is so important. And I think might not have saved this person's experience, but could have saved it becoming a recurring issue.
It's so funny, isn't it? Something so small, like there's so many touch points for you when you walk into a cafe that you can just make the slight, like we say, that 1% better. Even if, and I know it's funny to even say this, but even if the food wasn't cold, it may have just made that experience that little bit better. Maybe if the chef had just turned up with, great presentation, or and it was just bad on top of bad, and then the food being cold was like last straw, never going back kind of thing. But yeah, thank you so much for the person who sent in the story. I think we've all experienced a brunch, or at least some type of experience like that, so we can all relate. We love hearing from you guys. It was a really good one to discuss, I think, because everyone can relate to it. We've all been there. So thank you so much. Any final thoughts, girls, before we say bye on this one?
I don't think so. Thank you for sending it in.
Yeah, thank you so much, and we'll see you on the next one. Experiences with Experity. Bye.
Bye.